Morning. Good morning, Julie. I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Here at Veronica Escobars town hall meeting for July. Gonna live stream this for you guys. Before I go in, just wanna walk around a little bit, think about things before I go in there. Hi, Vicenta. It's getting hot outside already. I'm gonna go get inside. Might as well go sit down and relax. The meeting starts in about a half hour at 10 a.m. All right, guys, let me flip this around so you guys can see what's going on. All right. I'm not the press. I'm a constituent, but I have a camera. Good morning.
Yeah, and there'll be double doors.
All right, thanks. I'll sit in the back anyway, so it ain't gonna matter. Good morning, Russell.
Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning. Where do we sign in? Anywhere? Is there a sign in for questions? This is for questions? Alrighty.
We can go in. Okay.
How many have signed up so far?
I think this is the first sheet and some other people signed up.
Okay. Good.
Sí, al lado de my stuff, ellos viven aquí luego por la U y se me están
Thank you so much.
There's a separate
All right, we are going in here.
get a formal invitation to our neighbors.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Good.
It's nice and cool in
How you
here.
been?
Hot. I've been hot. We were out there and it was hot.
Yeah, because they want the people to sit up there first, okay?
How have you guys been? You guys been staying cool?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Man, I turned
Not
my...
outside that much.
Yeah?
So.
My poor air conditioner's about to retire on me at the house. That thing's about to retire. I'm about
A
to...
couple of years ago, we put in one from swamp cooler to
refrigerated?
refrigerated in. Plus, we had a new heater put in too because they don't make parts for it anymore. It was
Gotcha.
working fine.
Sure.
It's just the idea, just
Yeah.
be my luck. In the wintertime, when it's the coldest day, it's going to go.
It always happens, never fails. Right when you don't want it, But yeah, they sell those into like a combo, right? Like the refrigerated will work with your furnace, so you hit. So you just hit a button now.
Just hit a button.
I still got to climb on the roof.
Gardener, plus he's a handyman too. On top of it, he comes in and he cleans the filter valve.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, my dad was considering.
Same as the other times, if you're gonna film.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'll go ahead and set up. Thank you. Yeah.
You know the deal by now, don't you?
Yeah, I know. I got to get in the back. Get in the back. I still not to block anybody. You know, it's fine. My dad was considering refrigerated air. He lives over there by Urban High School, and in one of those, real ranch style houses. And he said,
Sorry, just want to let you know ahead of time. With the camera, we're going to leave you in the back row.
Gotcha. And call an electrician in. Electrician comes in the house. And says, yeah, we can do this. We can put an HVAC guy. Yeah, we can do this. How much? About $8,000.
$8,000.
$8,000.
$8,000.
Yeah, but that wasn't bad. And then they didn't tell him that he needed to he needed to reroute his main power line, which is another like $2,500. He was like, I'll suffer.
No, that was part of the deal.
Oh, that's great. That's not
It's
bad.
both.
Yeah.
The heater and the air conditioner.
Okay.
Plus the electrical work too on top of it. Plus, got a 20-year warranty on both.
Is that right?
Yeah.
20 years. So if anything
20
goes
years.
wrong,
Yeah. That's
a good deal.
Labor too.
What did you guys? Okay, who's your guy?
King Air. Yeah.
Oh wow! All right, I'm gonna have to call him
They
in
have
and
only
do.
given it to us because her two cousins used to work for King Air.
Well, that'll help.
Hello, Susie. How you doing? Good.
Good morning, Kizzy. Good. Hot.
Is this
I am Ben Carnivale.
this a little bit better? You like
There you go.
No.
Look at that hat,
The
guys.
other ones are,
Look at that hat.
the other ones are under here.
There you go. All right, guys. Good to see you. Let me go relax back here so I don't get in trouble anymore and get yelled at and stuff. So I guess I'll go around the other side. All right. All right. Let me go around the front here and go around the back on the other side. Good people here, guys. Lots of good people here. We got some young folks here. Yeah, I'm heading back there. Which, just somewhere in the back, huh?
Just the back aisle. Thank you.
Okay, so the tape is okay to step over? Okay. I'm gonna sit down, you guys, because it was a long day yesterday. So I'm gonna sit down and relax for a minute. Can you guys hear everything okay? Can you give me a sign and say that you can hear everything okay? I want to make sure.
You're doing just fine. But the coat, you can see the difference.
Yeah, we ordered from
All right, thank you, Lisa. Thank you for confirming that for me. Perfect.
Are you guys going to be in the...
For the presentation, there's a TV right here. I'm going to probably zoom in on this to see if we can see it. Instead of try to zoom in on a projector. The projector you can't see too well from back here.
They started Hanks High School. They've been working on it at the west side.
The last 58, I think.
He's going to be on the polo shoot.
All right, let me set this up, everybody, and see if I can get this out now.
All for the Penn State University program to keep them on board.
Yeah.
Are you going to go?
Yeah.
Can you walk?
You don't walk. No, you don't walk fast. You can walk. Yeah, and believe it or not, going to the flag is fast pacing.
Menopause. That's funny. No, Georgette. What the problem was yesterday? What the problem is yesterday, it was just so hot over there, out there in that desert, that I got home and I damn near had a heat stroke. I mean, or heat exhaustion. It was so hot, and it took me hours, and I'm still not fully recovered. It was just awfully hot out there. People running around and being around all that heat on the floor, on the ground out there with those rocks radiating is brutal. I don't see anybody here, guys, as far as Anthony and any of the Republican Party side of things. I see right now, it's a very small crowd. It's a Tuesday. I mean, people work. People took off work yesterday to be here, and they're probably gonna have to. They can't take off 2 days in a row. You know, it's understandable. So I don't see anybody here at all. I did sign up to make a statement. I don't know. I'm like I'll be able to make a statement, which I'm going to make a statement. I may not even ask the question I intended to ask yesterday. I know, Georgette. I know you. But you know what? Anything is possible these days. Heck, I'm getting to that age where it's possible that my male menopause is kicking in.
Unique situation. So, a lot of military guys, they adopt kids though.
All right, let me go ahead and try to tie this up to my tripod real quick. Hang on, it might be a little bumpy.
So he did everything he's supposed to do to transfer his educational benefits. So they flipped to the VA, DEER, DOD, where there's some wording that they had. Yeah. So simple. It was a simple pressing a button. So they still had his child as ward. Ward means that it's temporary custody instead of child. So all the other siblings that he adopted at the same time had a child. So when he came up to age, the VA wasn't due, disagreed,
Right there on your ID card.
and the education benefit plate. The DOD was saying no. I'm like, wait a minute, time out. So I had to reach out to the Department of Defense Secretary and say, hey, I need clarification on this. They sent me clarification back. Yeah, the child's a child. That's his child. So I had to send that to
All
the
right,
VA,
well,
kick
let's
it
see.
back. I had to reach out to DC.
All right, we're gonna go with this. Hopefully it'll stay up. Yesterday was so brutal on my equipment that a piece of one of my devices, one of my mounts, literally melted to my phone. So I lost a piece that I usually use to mount to my tripod. So I need to get out and buy another one, which is not too expensive. Just terrible.
I was able to get their benefits and everything. So it was.
So guys, if you haven't seen my video that I posted, that I posted on my Facebook, my personal Facebook page, take some time to go look at it. I had a review of what went down at the Clinton facility that I wanted to share.
All the cars are out there now?
Well, no, not all of them are out there. There were 3 or 4 over 5.
On Pierce?
Between the place across the street, but they're under cover except for the camera.
Yeah, they don't have fans at all. But let me tell you, there was people from the media that I was talking to that their devices actually died too. Their cell phones died. Everybody had the same scenario. Everybody was shutting off. And me, I carried two cell phones with me to these events that I have service with, so I can broadcast, so I don't lose anything. Well, at least I can not necessarily lose anything, but I can actually, in case if a malfunction happens. And
I drive my truck.
I'll go ahead and Mary, that page is essentially it's just my name, Ben Carnevale Facebook page. Let me get that for you.
If I'm going to move the airstream out to Chaparral, then I want to pour a flat to and then you need to anchor it because there's a wind and stuff out there sometimes. I don't wanna come back and see that thing rolled over and going to detention for
Yeah, it's starting to roll.
Testing, 1 2 1 2.
Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, testing.
Got to do this.
No, I know it's not a lot of fun.
Testing. A little higher than this one.
None of us are.
Testing.
Can you guys
Testing.
hear the
Testing.
microphone testing
Testing.
that this gentleman is doing in the background? Can you hear that clearly?
It might be different, more different. Yeah, I don't know where this came from. Oh, they got. The what now? But now the blues are going away, so, I mean, except for Form 1.
All right, thank you guys for confirming
Yeah,
that.
because now we're going back to the World War II uniform.
Was that right? Really?
Oh, they're already wearing it.
They don't have it.
No, not yet.
Only the generals and the sergeant.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. I hope they.
How are you? How are you?
I'm glad you came today.
Thank you.
Give them heck.
Yeah, hi.
Sir.
Even run Navy.
I'm sorry?
Even run Navy guys?
No, that's okay. Hey,
Yeah, that's
you're
all right.
forgiven. My whole family's Navy. I'm the only one that was Army. Yes,
Let me tell you something. I have such pride in the U.S. Navy because you know what? Even if I'm catching fish, at the end of the day, I'm on the boat.
All right, Patricia, this is, let me go ahead and just paste my profile here real quick. For those of you that want to go watch that video I made yesterday, it's about a 30-minute rant. But it's good stuff. Go check it out. Patricia, there are about, I don't know, 30 people here, 25 people here. Again, I don't see any Republicans here, or maybe they are, they're just not wearing any. It's not any, nobody we know is here. Doesn't look like.
we were seafaring Marines. And I said, what does that mean? He said, coming out of scuba diving school, he was assigned to the United States Navy. And he was a seafaring Marine. And he said they had a contingency that went out with the ships. 6 to 9 months. And that's what he did before he went into Vietnam. He said that's what he did. He was always on the ship.
They would prepare the mini sub and stuff. Oh, there it is.
I don't know. All I know is that I saw the documentary prior to the, SEAL Team 6. Had a documentary into the training. Lord, where's these guys?
Well, it's a good gut check.
It really is. So I asked Hector, my brother, what was it like? He said there were 115 applicants that went into that and he said 115 went in, and I think he said 21 survived. 21 survived. He said it's the most brutal thing he's ever done. Because you're in the water all the time. Yeah. In the winter time. Oh,
What's that now? Yeah, we helped establish it because all you had was UDT. So what we did was we actually created that, just like with 4-star, 410, all of SOF, Custom Border Protection. All of their programs we actually designed. I remember doing it back in the 80s. Anyway, so, but it's
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the difference between Delta Force and who trains?
No. Okay. You have to be special forces qualified.
To qualify for Delta.
Delta. So, Delta belongs to Joint Special Operations Command. So, JSOC is a totally separate entity. So, but their only mission is hostage rescue, counter-terrorism. In other words, a direct action attack against terrorist targets. But when even during my time in the 2000s, they wouldn't do a mission if it was over 1,500 meters from the shore. In other words, if it was a mile or more inland, they would not take a mission for a SEAL mission because they wanted to be able to launch from an aircraft carrier or Delta. I'm thinking of so anyway, so Delta, those are the only missions that they strictly and terrorist counter. But it's ironic because we did all this stuff before. After the Vietnam War, they came out with no such thing as Delta Force anymore. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. They own everything out there. Beyond Kelly Lodge on Fort Bragg. Oh really? Oh okay. But the problem, the reason I applied for Delta, I went to the physical requirement test. I went to the and came back. My sergeant major called me in. Chappie. Thomas Jones. Anyway, this is back in the days where you smoked in the building and all that stuff. We moved it from there over to the Fort Zone area on Fort Bragg, and then we moved it to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Okay. So get your ass in here and shove the smoke. Close that door. Sit down. That's our leader. He goes, I heard you apply so hard. What is this thing? It's got class dates for Camp Dawson, West Virginia. Nobody knows what Camp Dawson is. Anyway, he goes,
That was it.
but it was a benefit. I might have trained him. Kind of like the they don't get a chance to execute, so what happens?
She's my nephew.
Listening to that conversation, my mentor, I got to do everything I've ever done in dreams. I mean, more than, I could have been college for a job because people had faith in me. Anyway, so I get my head straight. Yeah, man.
Test.
Gave you an education.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. No, they give me the motivation.
The motivation to get in it.
Yeah, and the discipline.
Yeah. They didn't pay for your education?
Yeah.
Rick, we'll see you here.
We had
a bronze band that escalated. For reasons unbeknown to us, we were playing in a place where a woman by the name of Penny Lee, representing the hometown records, in her infancy, heard us play. So she had us booked. Yeah, she had us booked at the Nickel Theater in Chicago, Illinois, and we were supposed to go from Chicago
Guys, if you can share this live stream, I'd really appreciate it. And you know Veronica's going to describe some of the horrendous things that she saw yesterday at that Clint facility. She's going to talk about those people. If you look at the agenda, it's a national anthem for the allegiance, welcome staff, her updates from Congressman Escobars, and then there's questions and comments. Let me see if I can move this over so you can see this.
I'm going to make some money. And I want to
So if you guys can see. That's the agenda right there. I'm not sure if you guys can read that, but
you know who was on that stage that night?
so if you can share this, get this, because it's gonna be, she's gonna say some things you guys probably want to hear. You're gonna make sure that you get the video out so everybody can see what's going on here in El Paso. We are a hot spot for this immigration situation, and she's gonna cover her other things she's doing. I sincerely hope, but I hope to get up there and actually, since nobody's coming out from the Republican Party like they should, not the people, the leadership, coming out here to defend the Border Patrol. That's what I'm going to do. My day is here to defend men and women in the Border Patrol, because I feel they're being mischaracterized, and I believe it's unfair to them with what they've been going through. And so it's my turn to speak. I will be making a statement, and I will ask Veronica to tell me at least 3 things that she saw being done good in this facility. Because it's easy to say what's going on bad. It's easy to say what they're doing bad. And it's not all of it. It's very specific. Individuals doing some things that might not be right. And again, none of it's verified. It's just what they're saying is happening. But I want to hear specific good things. If you can post specific bad things, then that means you can also post specific good things that you saw. Because I know, anybody can go and find something bad. If you're looking for something bad, you're going to find something bad. It's not hard. It's not hard to do that. But it seems to be real hard to be positive about this situation. And I know, I get it. People are very emotional. But if you're a congressperson, if you're representing people that have diverse political ideologies, then you should respect that and understand that there are more than just angry Democrats that live in the city, that we have independents and Republicans and even some moderate Democrats that would like to hear the full story, would like to hear not only the bad things that might be happening, but good things as well. And I'm going to ask her, and I guarantee you she's going to, I hope, well, no, I don't want to put words in her mouth. I just hope she doesn't give me a blanket statement that she did yesterday when she said, I've always said that the men and women of the Border Patrol, they work hard, they're in a bad situation. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I want you to tell me that. I want her to tell me that you have seen, when you were in there yesterday, you saw the beds, the kids have beds, the kids have blankets, the kids have toys, the kids have PlayStations and televisions, where the toilet facilities clean, where the kids, did you ask if the kids were allowed to go outside and have playtime outside? I want to know good things. Tell me the positive things without ending it in a negative, without ending her statement in a negative. I want to hear that. And let's see what she says.
And that's what got me into We're gonna stay in one row, nigga. That's what got me into University Park. All the way down there. All the way down there. I was there too. Yeah. The entire from 75 until what, 95? You know, you're talking about the mine special forces flight.
We'll be over at my office at 1 o'clock. So, I mean, I don't talk to nobody. It might change me or nothing. You know, this is 11 o'clock. Yeah. This is 11 o'clock in the morning on Friday. So, I go over there, she'll get it all. Every sergeant major, you know, special warfare commander here. I'm in trouble now. Everybody knows who I am now. I can't hide, right? And he goes, take me over to the chief of staff and right over the top, and I'll tell you the sergeant. Special forces officer. I don't know why, but see, I made a time of impression on him, and he never forgot me. I mean, I walked back. So, anyway, I go back over to him, and I come to some videos and I think that foreman was comments on the chief force. The secretary, I want to go to the engineer force, you know, blow up stuff.
So you work in?
I would say, but my brain said, no, there's two people in the year group, so we can't believe you go anywhere. But you didn't get it away from the chief for you, so I'm going to special forces. You got to get somebody else. But they didn't want you to have the qualifications, because they thought, you know, the Army would feel anyway anyway, because there's so few of them. So anyway, I go back to my friend about the Thomas Freeman, and he goes, okay, he assigned me from two special forces to special warfare. I just go over that and everybody knows the colonel and sign the document, that's all they do. So anyway, like they put it back in here. Like they here.
Oh, really? Yes.
So the entire force, I was concerned with the class, actually graduated from common law. So people go, well, how do you do that? I go, well, I'm not smart.
I'm not sure what the deal is with the teenagers. I'm sure that they'll make an announcement. They look like they're from a high school, maybe Austin High School or something like that, a local school here in El Paso.
Yeah.
I'm in here in the air conditioning.
I've been going pretty soon.
Yeah.
I'm constantly stay every morning.
No, I was going to bring the parking lot.
What it is, you give a shit.
Yesterday. A lot of high schoolers here. Yeah, a whole bunch of them.
It's actually pretty common all over because watch when you start getting people you should be able to take a video from the stuff like see the same things. We want to be independent like me. This thing is staged.
Well, thank you. Do you know?
No, I'm not quite that. Nah, Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan, Central America.
Not that. You like that? Thank you. Thank you for your service.
No problem, sir.
I studied Vietnam. I didn't read it.
I actually saw it. Here's. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm actually running on the Republican ticket right No, we switched officially yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to split the ticket. It's not what I do.
Sounds good. Great meeting you. Thanks for running. I'll look into it because I do social work and I do yeah, website and everything already. Cool.
Yeah, it's all on the back of the card.
I'll shoot you an email. If I can be of any help, I'll be happy.
I appreciate it. I guess there's more security than there's anything else.
All right, good morning, everyone. Sorry for the little interruption there. Can you please rise as it's time for the presentation of colors? Today, the colors will be presented by the 82nd All-American Chapter. Today, singing the national anthems, Ms. Giselle Castañeda.
Oh, so can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
If you could all please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Order. Halt. Colors. Hey. Hold. Colors. Ready. Speak. Present. Home. Order.
read you some ground rules real quick before we start. Okay, today our town hall will start with a presentation from the Congresswoman. After her presentation, she will hear from people who signed up to ask questions at the sign-in table at the main entrance. Excuse me. You will be called up in the order you signed up. We will call 3 speakers at a time. When your name is read, please walk over to this podium right here and line up in the order you were called. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to ask their questions. You will hear a beep when your time is up. We want to hear from as many speakers as possible, so please be mindful of your time limit. If we run out of time, Congresswoman Escobars' team will call you this week to address any comments or any questions you may have. We know that this public forum like these are important in keeping you informed and giving you an opportunity to ask the Congresswoman questions and to share your ideas. We might not all agree with each other, but it is important that we are respectful of one another and of this forum. We encourage a positive environment for dialogue that will allow everybody the ability to hear and learn from each other. Anyone behaving in a distracted manner will be asked to leave this event. Members of the public are encouraged to take pictures and videotape the presentation. If you're going to do this, please join the media in the designated area in the back. Please leave any signs or banners in your car so they do not distract from the conversation. And with that said, without further ado, your Congresswoman, Veronica Escobars.
Good morning. It is so wonderful to be back home in El Paso, away from that crazy place, and to be among so many wonderful people. So thank you all very much for welcoming me today. I want to thank some folks who made today possible. The El Paso County Constable Team 1, every single town hall meeting, every event, they are there to make sure that we keep everybody safe. So please, a round of applause for our constables who are here. Giselle Castañeda, that voice, oh my gosh, our national anthem singer, thank you for sharing your talent and your voice. It's beautiful. The 82nd Airborne Division, those guys are wonderful. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And then I want to thank everybody at Jefferson High School who opened up their facility for us so that the community could come together, get an update, and hear from one another. I want to thank Grace Garcia Brancos, the interim principal, Angelica Lechuga, the student activity manager, and Eric Peña, the assistant principal, who is here. Mr. Peña, where are you? I've got you. There you are. Thank you, Mr. Peña. Thanks to you and all your team. Outside, we have a couple of tables. The IRS Office of the Taxpayer Advocate Services is there, as well as the Social Security Administration. So as Benito mentioned, I'm going to give an update. I'm going to try to keep it really quick. We'll figure out how to make these slides public to you so that you can see everything in more detail. But I'm eager to get to your questions, eager to get to the dialogue. So I'm going to run through my section fairly quickly. So our 6-month report, I can't believe it's been 6 months, but this is our 9th town hall meeting. We've had 2 cafecitos. We're going to keep that pace for as long as I'm in office, monthly town halls, quarterly veterans town halls, and then as often as we can, little neighborhood gatherings. If you'd like one, let us know. Please talk to our team. We have responded to nearly 10,000 calls, emails, and letters. So our office has been flooded with communication. If you have not gotten a response yet, believe me, we're working on it. Please know, it's just an extraordinary amount of communication. Over nearly 1,000 El Pasoans have had a Capitol tour, a White House tour. When you're in D.C., call us. We would love to connect you with a tour, get you connected to anything you want to do. We're there to help make your visit to Washington as lovely as possible. And then that bottom number, the work that we do in casework frequently has nothing to do with the headlines that you read about, all of the kind of dramatic activity unfolding in Washington. The casework that we do every single day is about making sure that people get connected to the services and to the money that they have earned. And so in this last 6 months, we have brought back over $180,000 to El Pasoans who needed our help and assistance. So I am proud of our caseworkers. In fact, I'd like our caseworkers to kind of raise and wave their hands so that you know who they are through the audience. They do tremendous work. If you need help, please, we are there to serve you. Okay. Last 6 months, the big focus for us has been bringing resources back to this community. But as you all know, and I'll address this near the end of the slide, we have been faced with an historic challenge in our community. And so we've also been spending a lot of time addressing that and dealing with that as well, but I'll get to that. Energy and water, we passed some minibus bills. Minibus is grouping agency funding in order to together in voting packages to get them passed and out the door to fund the government. We've been working on those for a long time. We don't want there to be a government shutdown, but as you all know, the big controversy in funding is not energy and water, it's not labor and health. It really, the big issue is going to be in the Department of Homeland Security bill because of the focus of the administration. So, but in energy and water, we worked on robust environmental management programs, money for the Army Corps of Engineers, which as your county judge, we really depended on them to help us with flooding, planning. That money is critical to communities like El Paso. Labor, health, and human services, we in El Paso depend a lot on a program called the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. It helps a lot of our seniors, it helps a lot of folks who struggle with their utility bills, who are essentially the working poor. We worked hard to boost up that funding for it because it directly, positively impacts El Paso. Next slide, let's see, I'm going to go through these quickly. Commerce, justice, science. Let's see, critical infrastructure support funding for agriculture. You know, our community still has a lot of agriculture as our local economy, and so that was important to me. All right, I am on the House Armed Services Committee. And through Armed Services, there are certain things that we do, certain things we do not do. One of the things that is in the VA bill, but I worked closely with our VA folks. It's not in Armed Services, but it's on the VA committee, was the MILCON bill, which increased funding for military housing and provided more money for for VA medical care. We also looked, in terms of the interior and the environment, we wanted to increase money for National Park Services, historic preservation. We need to take care of our assets and make them available to everyone. Next slide. Transportation, housing, and urban development. We wanted to make sure that we got into the bill some language about our priority as we think about I-10 being reconstructed. So just so you know, for a long time, and I can tell you this as county judge, we've been warned by TxDOT that our highway system is woefully inadequate and that there are aspects of our highway system that are in trouble. We're going to have to rebuild parts of I-10. The key is ensuring it doesn't impact local property taxpayers. That I want to make sure the federal government takes care of those highways. So we included some language in that in anticipation of what's going to happen with I-10. Next slide. Financial services and general government appropriations. There's great money that I worked with appropriators on, $24.6 billion to assist taxpayers, support small businesses, and strengthen elections. I'm here with our good friend Leo Duran from L&J because small businesses like his are critical to our local economy. Okay, next. All right, and in terms of legislative priorities, I have long talked about how healthcare is such a critical component to our community. There are still too many people who don't have access to health care. So the work that we are doing is about defending the health care that we have now and trying to expand it. Next slide. Fighting for funding for Fort Bliss and national security. As a member of Armed Services, the big funding bill, the NDAA, that hearing was 21 hours. It started at 10 o'clock in the morning, went through the entire day, went through the entire night, ended at 7 a.m. the next morning. It was a crazy, wild session, but we got in some great stuff for Fort Bliss. And the one thing I'm proudest of is we laid the foundation, or hopefully in an upcoming legislative year, to fund moving the VA next to the new Beaumont Hospital. Something that did not happen, that was not planned for, that wasn't appropriated for, but that I had heard resoundingly from veterans needs to happen. Okay, next slide. Also working, I am very fortunate, and our office is very fortunate, to have wonderful relationships with veterans in this community who are frequently telling us what we need to do. And we need those marching orders from you. We need to hear directly from you what the needs are, what the gaps are, because that's the only way that we're going to address all of the deficiencies in the system. And so this is a list of work that we've done for veterans, include not just the town hall meetings, but we've also had great roundtables. Veteran suicide is something that is particularly challenging for Fort Bliss. It is one of the military installations with the highest rates of suicide in the nation. And then during one of our hearings, I learned that the VA only spent 1% of its budget for outreach. 1% of its budget for that. And so our office worked with appropriators. We talked about making sure that we identify those military installations and communities that are most at risk, like El Paso, in order to funnel resources to those most in need. Okay, let's keep going. All right, so let me talk a little bit about what is happening here on the border and in Washington, D.C. So we all have been absolutely aware of the challenges related to the needs of families as they arrive on our front door. Many people in this room, many people in this community have done an incredible, extraordinary job of stepping up and asking, how can I help? Our office has been flooded with calls from people asking, how can I help? Here's what is happening. We have a very well-funded federal law enforcement agency that, for some reason or another, does not seem to be equipped to deal with changing migration patterns. And they're going to keep changing. They're going to keep changing because migration patterns change. We need an agency that understands those changing migration patterns, can tell Congress, here's how things are changing, here's what we need to do differently in terms of training, here's the different challenge that we face today. But what is happening instead is we have a federal law enforcement agency that's operating today in exactly the same way it operated 20 years ago. So in addressing the individuals and families who are arriving, they're doing it the same way. Apprehending people, including women and children, and putting them in small concrete cells as they await the next part of the process. I will tell you this, because I get this all the time. I am not for open borders. I do believe in law and order. But I also believe that our country should create and set a standard worthy of our values. And our values are not rooted in cruelty. Our values are not rooted in dehumanizing people. And unfortunately, that's what I have been bearing witness to during my tenure in Congress. And I want to say this as well. This current situation is not good for anyone. Obviously, it's not good for vulnerable migrants. It's not been good for our community that has been under duress and stress and a lot of pressure. It's also not good for the agents or the officers. And I can tell you, as someone who has been the target of some vile and hateful attacks on a Facebook page, I don't know if you all read the story yesterday about a Facebook page run by some Border Patrol agents, not all, can tell you, as someone who's been targeted, I know that there are still good people inside that organization. And they have been sounding the alarm. They have been doing everything in their power to ensure that people are treated with humanity and dignity and respect. And we have been working with them. And I am grateful to them. And that's why I have chosen not to demonize an entire group of people in federal law enforcement, because I know many of them, and I want them to stay there. I don't want them to quit. We need good people inside of broken organizations. I truly, truly believe that. So when I got elected last year, we had a long laundry list of everything we wanted to do, and we have been doing it. But what you see mostly in the news is what's happening in our community and the debates that are occurring in Washington about what's happening in our community. And so it's been important to me to speak out about the beauty and goodness of El Paso, to talk about the citizens of this community in a way that is worthy of who you are. I witness day in, day out the goodness, charity, and goodwill of the people of this community, and that gets lost in the debates. And so it's been a priority for me to tell my colleagues and to tell the nation about the goodness of this community in the face of this monumental challenge that we're facing together. So I have introduced some legislation, and then if you could move the slides forward to address some of what we're seeing. And I'm going to get back to the border situation in just a second. Also, protecting our democracy. This is another aspect of the work that we're doing that has been in the news a lot because of the Mueller report. I'll say to you what I said to a number of people. We were attacked by a foreign adversary. That foreign adversary, Russia, was very successful in meddling in our election. I am very afraid about our upcoming 2020 election because based on what I have heard in classified briefings, they are still at it. They are still operating. And if they were successful before, I am fearful that they will be successful again. We also learned through the Mueller report that we have a president whose campaign team, knew about the attack, didn't alert law enforcement, destroyed evidence about it, and then when an investigation was launched, made various attempts to obstruct justice and prevent law enforcement from looking into it. That is deeply troubling, and I've said before, that should unite all of us. There should be no daylight between any American who wants to fight for a fair democracy. And I truly believe this is making our democracy very vulnerable. So one of the first things we did was we voted out H.R. 1, which is intended to shed a light on dark money, intended to protect our democracy and fight corruption. Last week we voted on legislation, elections integrity legislation, meant to mandate a plan to deal with foreign interference, meant to fund changes to the ballot box because communities like ours are shouldering the burden. All of you who voted recently, if you have voted recently, you saw El Paso County's new voting machines. El Paso County had to shoulder the millions of dollars to pay for that by themselves. That is not right. That should be funded by the federal government, not local property taxpayers. So the bill we passed last week provides funding for that. Also on House Judiciary, so you know, July 12th, Robert Mueller is coming before the House Judiciary Committee. And so I think all Americans should tune in. I think that's very important. Okay, economic development. I'm a co-sponsor of the Paycheck Fairness Act, the Raise the Wage Act. It is long overdue that we raise the minimum wage in this country. People, there's a lot of talk about how good the economy is. Constituent after constituent that we talk to, the economy is not doing so good for them. And so we have to ensure that we protect the middle class and sustain the middle class. It is critical to all of us that happens. And the federal government has a role in doing that. Okay, next slide. let me tell you about what happened last week with the border supplemental bill. And here's what I want you all to know. I worked very hard going back to January, introducing myself and meeting with appropriators who had the power to provide resources to our community in the face of the growing challenge that we faced with the migrant families arriving at our doorstep. I met with Senator John Cornyn and I told him, I'm going to get this in on the House side, I need your help on the Senate side. We need to reimburse El Paso County, the city of El Paso, and all the nonprofits and community groups that have been opening up their hearts and their wallets. And he assisted by getting that in on the Senate side. We got it in on the House side. We had some additional gains on the House side that I was very proud of, that I worked closely with Lucille Roybal-Allard on. Number one, you've heard me talk about this before, there are functions within DHS and CBP that should be civilianized. Law enforcement agents should not be doing data entry. They should not be helping take care of small children. There are professionals in the civilian workforce that are better equipped to do that. And we can get law enforcement back to doing what it was trained to do, and we can hire professionals who know how to address the needs of women and children, and who can do the actual processing of people. That was in the House bill. We had money to civilianize the workforce in the House bill, and that came directly from El Paso. The other thing that came directly from El Paso, and you all have heard me talk about this before, but part of the challenge for our community, and the reason why we need hospitality centers, is because when people are released, they need a day or two to contact their sponsor in order to get to Chicago or New York or the Midwest, wherever they're going to join their husband, their wife, their son. When they're released by ICE, it's El Pasoans and El Paso hospitality centers that have been caring for them, making sure they make their travel arrangements. I asked DHS, why can't we do that concurrently? Why can't we have volunteers inside the facility or adjacent to the facility in order to let it happen, the government processing happen at the same time as the community processing? That was in the bill. There was funding to pilot that program. That was in the House bill. That came directly from El Paso. So the night before the vote, we were really worried on the House side that we would not have the votes from Democrats to pass the House side. So we were whipping votes. I was calling my colleagues. The holdouts mostly were in the two caucuses that I'm a member of. The Congressional Progressive Caucus and the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. So the day before the vote, I called my appropriator and my friend, Lucille Roybal-Allard, who wrote the bill, and I said, Lucille, if we can get all of the members of the caucuses, the two caucuses together, would you meet with them, bring the other appropriators, and answer everybody's questions so people know how good this bill is? It offered very stringent protections, prohibitions against spending money. So if the money was set to go to kids, it was going to go to kids. There were protections in the bill for that, so they couldn't be moved around. There were standards, minimal, not enough for many of us, but there were some standards in place that didn't exist before. It was a good bill. And so Lucille said, yes, I can meet at 7:30. Awesome. Called my leaders, the Progressive Caucus, Hispanic Caucus. They sent out the notice. We had the meeting in the Speaker's office, which I think drew more people, which was wonderful. Speaker Pelosi stepped in and said, let me host this. Let's get as many people in the room. The room was packed. We had the meeting at 7:30. It wasn't over until midnight. And then we had the votes to pass the bill the next day. So we passed the House bill the next day. Unfortunately, Mitch McConnell refused to take it up. He told Speaker Pelosi that not only would he not allow the House bill on the floor for debate, but that he would table it, and that there would be nothing done for anybody. So the Speaker explained to us that she was faced with the decision of letting it languish and doing nothing and sending people home without an emergency supplemental or bringing the Senate bill to the House floor. We had all canceled our flights. We were ready to stay for the weekend. We were ready to work through the night. We wanted a debate and compromise. That did not happen because of one person, a person who calls himself the Grim Reaper of legislation. So we ended up with a Senate bill, and I voted no, and I want you to know why I voted no. I sat in the front row with two of my very dear friends, Congresswomen Debbie Mugersell-Powell from Florida, and my friend Sylvia Garcia from Houston. And I was watching the board. There's a board in front of us where you can see how everybody votes, and you can see the vote count. Is it going to pass? When I knew it would pass overwhelmingly, I knew I could essentially file a protest vote. That's what my no vote was. I would never have let the Senate bill, as flawed as it is, tank, because we needed the money for HHS to get kids out of detention and into better standard situation. That was the most important thing to me, was those kids. So I would never have voted no if I were the deciding vote. But I have the luxury, because there was overwhelming support, to send a message that it's not acceptable, that compromise is not allowed, and that debate is not allowed when people's lives are at stake. So I wanted you to know why I voted no. So that's why I voted no. I've alerted the city, the county, the nonprofit, we actually still need to let the nonprofits know. We're going to monitor the process for reimbursement, and we're going to reimburse this incredibly generous, wonderful community. All right, last slide. As I've mentioned, we've gotten lots and lots of calls after the Clint story about how people can help. We are working with Diocesan Migrant Refugee Services to try to facilitate some of that help. There's some information up on the slide. I think the other way that I can help, in addition to the work happening in Washington, D.C., is ensuring that members of Congress come to our community, visit the centers, visit the facilities, and see with their own eyes what is happening. Yesterday we hosted our 10th congressional delegation visit, and we're going to keep doing it. We have another one scheduled for next month, and we are going to keep bringing all members. I have invited everybody in the chamber, Republican, Democrat, Independent. I have invited everyone to come to El Paso and to please sit down with us and help craft solutions that are more reflective of the country that we pledge allegiance to. And that's it. Let's get to your questions. Thank you all so much. Also outside is Joe Esparza from the Veteran Benefits Administration. So also outside this phone line.
Okay, Congresswoman, we have 23 people signed up, and the first three are going to be Nelson Bank, Armando Medina, and Josue Rodriguez.
And I'm going to be as quick as possible in my responses so that we get through as many people as possible. Good morning, sir.
My name is Nelson Bank. There's a poverty level in the United States. Let's say, I don't know if it's exact, say it's $15,000 a year for a single person. Social Security payments for someone who's worked for 20 years, let's say it's $1,000 a month when he retires. TRS, which does not pay into Social Security for someone who's worked for, say, 10 years, is $500 a month, let's say. In total, that's $1,500 a month. The poverty level, let's say, is $1,500 a month. So that person with the Social Security retirement payments and the TRS retirement payments is not poor. They're not living in poverty because they're getting $1,500 a month. But Social Security will deduct from their payment to you a percentage of what TRS pays to you. So if they deduct $200 because you're getting $500 from TRS, you're not getting $1,500 a month anymore. You're getting $1,300 a month. And you're living in poverty. Great, that's not a good situation. But let's say you work 10 years and pay Social Security and you're getting $500 a month. And you work 5 years for TRS and you're getting $200 a month. Your total retirement benefits are $700. Social Security is going to deduct from their retirement payment to you a portion of what TRS is paying to you. Not only are you in way deep down poverty, but Social Security is pushing you down a little bit more into poverty. So my question is that fair?
Thank you so much, sir. And you're talking about the teacher retirement system, right? That's the TRS, yes. Believe me, I've met with a lot. No, it's not fair. That's the answer to your question. It is not fair that there's a separate system for retirement for teachers. And actually, I've been working with teachers on that because we need a fix. And I've been working with legislators on that. So we hope to fix that. You earned the money that you put into your retirement system, and you deserve to get what you put into it. Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I have only two concerns, and I'll try to be as brief as I can. First of all, I am very appalled at all the politicians that have taken the death of that young man and his daughter in the river. We in the border community have been seeing this for decades, and just now they're starting to get alarmed. That's BS. I'm sorry. It's BS. These people, they're going around pointing fingers at the Border Patrol, CBC, CBP, and others in Homeland Security, when the problem was Congress for not appropriating space for all these people that are coming over, or acting fast enough to be able to accommodate spaces. Tornillo was a very good place that was already established and whatnot. All they needed was some modifications to make sure there was no separation, but the facility would have been expanded, it would have been great. No, they had to close it down and then start from scratch, and look at what we got, a mess, okay? Sorry. So that's one. The second concern is, after serving over 20 years, that's it. I am really upset at the fact that when I took my oath to defend this country against foreign and domestic enemies, little did I know that at this stage of my life, my biggest enemy is our elected officials. Because we feel that the perception that nothing's getting done turns out to be the reality that we see. And that's bad. Because if we don't see it, if it wasn't for your leaflet here and your occasional email that I get, I would not know what's going on in Washington. The news doesn't cover it. There's no other way we can find out. So perception is reality. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. So the first issue was the photograph. Thank you for your service. The first issue was the photograph. I called for a moment of silence on the House floor last week to remind my colleagues, and I said that Oscar and his daughter to me represented the tens of thousands of migrants who have died trying to reach our country. Because I wanted to remind our colleagues that tens of thousands of people have died, and that's something we need to understand as we craft policy. The second question, the soft sides and Congress's, really the second and third, like the frustration with Congress, I also I've never felt so frustrated in my life. You know, and I talked to other members who were in local government and had a conversation just last week as we were trying to bring a debate about the supplemental bill so that the two houses could reconcile and emerge with the best possible bill. It could have happened that night. We all canceled our flights. We were ready to work through the night. And I was telling him, you know, moments like this, I really miss local government. We had to get things done. We had to pass a budget every year. We worked with whoever, I worked with, you know, one of my colleagues on Commissioner's Court, I've always had one Republican on Commissioner's Court, always worked to make sure his voice was heard, that if he brought compromise, that we debated it, that we discussed it. That's how government should work. You know, all of this, and this is an official meeting, so I can't talk about politics, but I can tell you the power to change things is within every voter.
Our
Thank you for your
next three questioners are Ben Carnival, Jasmine Mancinas, and Marco Aguintia.
And then actually, because if you could, as folks are lining up, maybe announce the next three so that folks who kind of know they're coming. Jose?
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry about that. Just really quick, again, thank you for all the support you've given us in the past. And I want to ask if you'd be willing to co-sponsor the Real Emergency Access for Aging and Disability Inclusion for Disasters Act and the Disaster Relief Medicaid Act, which would make it easier for people with disabilities and the elderly who use Medicaid and other federal funds to be able to live in the community to obtain services quicker when disaster hits.
We may have already co-sponsored that bill, but we will get back to you, Josue. If you'll make sure to give that information to my staff. But you've brought us great pieces of legislation. I thank you for that. I thank you for your advocacy. And if we're not already co-sponsors, we'll look into that ASAP. Thank you, Josue. Good morning.
First I want to say, if you look into the FASE Act for the minimum wage issue, FASE Act is fairly new. I think the Democrat from Alabama submitted it.
Terry Sewell.
And it's effective, and it will resolve our minimum wage issue forever. FASE Act, take a look at it. Second, thank you for the positive comments from Border Patrol. I asked you yesterday, and I know I was 200 degrees out there, and I was dehydrated the whole day, and I'm still kind of surviving. Thank you for that. But this is really not directed to you, but where's the Republican Party in all this? Have you guys wondered? The Republican Party is completely absent here in El Paso, and it's the leadership of this Republican Party. We deserve two, at least, minimum choices here. We've got one. This Republican Party is ineffective, and it's the leadership in that Republican Party. Exactly, what Republican Party? So, Adolfo Tejas, I'm calling you out. Do your job, and let this Republican Party grow effectively. Because you have 190 precincts roughly, and you only have about 40 precinct chairs. Get your job done or get out of the way. You deserve to make fair choices here. Now finally, out of all of that positive I did, I'm going to ask you, we know what's happening with that, all the water, toilet, drinking thing. Can you tell us anything that you might have seen good? Do they have beds? Do they have blankets? Or do they have toys? I heard they have PlayStations and they're, it's clean. Can you give us at least something positive about that?
Thank you so much, Ben. They are sleeping on concrete floors. There are some cells that do have cots. There's a Sally port where we saw cots. The blankets are the aluminum foil blankets, the single layer, and none of that has changed. We have appropriated hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions. This is part of why there's such reticence by some members to ask, why is it we keep appropriating money and it gets shifted for other purposes, and then folks come back with another handout asking for more money. That's why we need those safeguards in place, those guardrails, so that when Congress appropriates money for specific items, no one can transfer money between accounts. So if we appropriate money for humanitarian purposes, that's all it should go to. Good morning.
Good morning. What is your principal goal as a congresswoman to us, John?
What is my principal?
Your principal goal to us, John?
I have two kids. I have a 22-year-old son and a 20-year-old daughter, and much of my commitment to public service is about them and your generation. It is part of why I feel panicked about climate change, because I worry about what my generation and generations before have left for you, and how wrong that is. And the fact that you all will have a very different place to live than what the rest of us enjoy. And I think think about my kids. I think about preserving democracy in a great nation and why it's important to you and to our kids. I think about having an economy that works for everyone, so that if you want to live in a major American city, you don't have to have 2 jobs to do it. So my goal is to create a better place for you all, because I have been very fortunate in my life and have been very, very privileged to be surrounded by love and good people and a good place to live. I want that for you all too. Thank you.
Our next 3 speakers are Yanel Zuluaga, Carla Ordóñez, and Becky Schneider.
Good morning.
Hello. My question is really quick. What is the plan for all the immigrants that are coming to the United States? Are they going to stay here or?
That's a good question. So what happens to all the immigrants that are arriving in the United States? So when they arrive, they go through processing. And so they're fingerprinted, they're looked at to see if they have a criminal history. And what's happening now is if they're a family, what's called a family unit, if they have a sponsor in the country, like a son, a daughter, a husband, they are released to nonprofit groups like Annunciation House and volunteers who provide them with meals and transportation and help them get to their sponsor if they're applying for asylum. So if they're applying for asylum, they will then go through a process. They first have to establish something called credible fear, and if they meet that threshold, then they get their chance in court to try to get asylum protection and stay in this country. If they don't qualify for asylum, then they're required to be removed from the country. So that's what happens with families right now. Single adults, what's happening with single adults today is that they are being detained for long periods of time. They are, the federal government is not wanting to release them. What they have told me is, if we don't detain them and we release them, in their view, they have, quote, lost the border. So they are wanting more jail space, and in the absence of that, what they're doing is they're sending a lot of folks back to Mexico to wait for their asylum hearing. In Mexico, they are unsafe. They don't have a whole lot of access to their lawyers. They many times don't have a place to stay. And so it is a very dangerous situation. We have to address this with a long-term plan, a mid-term plan, and a short-term plan. The long-term plan is stabilizing the countries where they're running from. We want them to be able to live in their country in a safe place where they can raise their families, but it's not going to happen on its own, and until we address the destabilized countries that they're coming from, things are not going to change. The House bill had more money for, or had money for stabilizing Central America, not enough, but we need to do that. And we need leadership in this hemisphere willing to collaborate on solutions, because we're all impacted. And we also have to have comprehensive immigration reform. We have to have more humane policies to address the situation at hand. We need to train folks, and we need a Department of Homeland Security that can adapt to changes. When I think of the Department of Defense and how the Department of Defense, regardless of what's happening all over the globe, they are able to adapt and change and come to Congress and say, here's what we need. Here's the path for you, Congress, to fund us adequately and give us the tools and resources we need. I have seen incredible leadership from the Department of Defense. We need that at all of our agencies so that we can provide the tools that they need. Thank you so much. Good morning.
So I have read on the internet website about the LGBT community. So my question is, if you think that there's going to be any problem if we have like open bathrooms, especially in this place.
So if you've seen the bathrooms available at restaurants and at other public spaces, there's privacy for individuals. And so people would still have privacy, there would still be a door. I have never felt unsafe. I've never felt that, that people are unsafe. And I fear that too often there's a focus on something that people might be afraid of, and there's a fanning of those flames to create more fear and in order to, in some respects, demonize communities. I'm a big believer in equality for everyone. That someone, as we were taking the pledge, someone said equality for all and not just some. I'm a big believer in equality for all, and the bathrooms. This is a transgender issue, so individuals who are transgender identify in the gender that the bathroom that they're using. We all know transgender people. You may not know that they are transgender. They are just like you and I. Thank you. Hi, good morning.
Good morning. My question is, how do you know to plan continue fighting for Planned Parenthood?
So the I'm a supporter of the access to reproductive health that Planned Parenthood provides. One of the things that we have to realize is that in our country, class and income plays a role in what kind of health care access that you get. And frequently people locked out of health care options and choices are the poorest in our country. And so I think people should have equal access to health care, including reproductive health care, regardless of where you are on the income scale. And that's why Planned Parenthood plays an important role. I think the federal government has a role in helping fund Planned Parenthood. They do lots of incredible work. I know folks focus on the abortion component, but they offer health care screenings, cancer screenings to women of low income. And the erosion of investment in Planned Parenthood ultimately means an erosion of access to protecting yourself against cancer, for example, and other ways of making sure that you stay healthy. So I support funding for Planned Parenthood. Thank you.
Congresswoman, we've answered about half of them.
Okay, we can try to get
The next three, after our next questioner, is Karen Powers, Marco Flores, and Fatima Barrera.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Becky Schneider. I'm with auxiliary for the President of the Board of Engineers and Trade. It's hard to say it all that. I want to thank you first for your work on the humanitarian issue here on crisis and support. You've done an excellent job of educating your colleagues and hopefully some of the people who just don't get it. When I'm here today, it's like as far as priorities, seems like kind of in the weeds. But it's an issue very important to us as the auxiliary that supports engineers and training. As far as the Rail Freight Act, the Safe Rail Freight Act, it requires 2 persons on the crew. The FRA is, under the Trump administration, is really jacking us around. And what we need from you is, I understand you're having a meeting on this later, so I'm very happy about that. But what we're asking for you is for you to commit and co-sponsor this bill. So if you can see a way, we would sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We are definitely looking into it. I am seriously considering co-sponsorship, and we will let you all know. We'll circle back with you to let you know our final decision. But everything I've seen so far, learned so far, I'm very supportive of what you all are doing. Thank you. Good morning. Doing well, thank you.
I'll make it really fast. I came July 8th, approaches quickly. I'm asking that you would support legislation to prevent the president from attacking Iran without congressional authorization. In listening this morning, I was thinking if we have a nuclear confrontation, all these other issues that come in moot. amendment is the legislation that I'm talking about. And it is the National Defense Authorization Act, which would ensure that the president cannot take military action against Iran without congressional authorization except in response to an attack on America or its armed forces. And it's set to receive a vote on July the 8th, and this is by the Friends Committee on National Legislation. Thank you.
I agree 100%. Thank you. Good morning.
My name is Marco Flores, and I'm here, I guess, continue a question that my father had asked before. And it was about the certification that, the security certification that CT PAT does for the factories transporting goods from Juarez to Mexico to the U.S. I guess it concerns us for Juarez to El Paso. There are a lot of security standards that are not being met in Mexico and Juarez. And when we asked about it, first of all, thank you very much for the quick response. I know that my father received an email from you giving the answer, the response that they gave. But the response was not good. They pretty much just said that no one was taking care of it, you know. So, I guess my question is, what can we do to stop this? This is talking about terrorism and drugs being brought over from Mexico to the U.S.
So I want to learn from you specifically, and I'm going to ask you to connect with my staff, what the areas specifically so that we can look into it, where they're not meeting those standards. Okay? Thank you. Perfect. If you'll hand them to my staff, that'd be great. And we need your contact info. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's 11 o'clock and we have one more question.
Can we get through 3?
I could open up. After Fatima, we'll have Mara Cole, John Justice, and Ronald Hines.
Good morning. I'm sorry.
What are the legal grounds that a woman should have for
I think, so she asked about abortion. I think a woman's reproductive choice is between her and her doctor, not the government. Good morning.
Congressman. When you're up to your ears in alligators, it's hard to remember that you came to drain the swamp. Now, this is really from the public health world, but it really pertains to politics these days as well. So I know you have lots of crises that you're dealing with and fires to put out, but I just wanted to I remembered one of my pet issues that I've tried to get other congresspeople from El Paso interested in over the years, and because it's not a crisis issue, it's pretty much gone under the radar. And this is a bipartisan issue that even the red hats can get behind, because last time I looked it up, the person that posted the most on the web was somebody from the moral majority. But my issue is the protection of Social Security numbers. And this came to light just yesterday. I called the water department about a bill issue, and before I could even talk to anybody, they wanted my Social Security number. I'm not going to give them my Social Security number, and what do they even need it for? I'm guessing the water department doesn't have a real secure network and they can get hacked. So that's really my issue, is too many people are abusing, still, after all these years, the use of Social Security numbers. They're not supposed to be used for general ID. They're supposed to be used by the Social Security information and pretty much the IRS. So I know you don't really have time, but I just wanted to put that on your radar.
Thank you. I'm definitely going to answer. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. Good morning.
I have friends who support Trump, and these friends consistently say they don't want their taxes to go for food stamps, welfare, housing, and medical care to pay for asylum seekers. Are the asylum seekers released to sponsors being given these benefits either while waiting for the disposition of their cases or after?
No, they are not. Not until they become legalized. They have also a 6-month ban on working, which I am not supportive of. I oppose it. I feel like, they don't have access to safety net services, and they're prohibited from working. So they are 100% reliant on their sponsors. Thank you. Good morning.
What you were saying about migrants, we need almost an alliance for progress like President Kennedy had in the 60s. He was able to walk through thousands of people with about 4 Secret Service agents. It's on, you can Google it to see it. And it was welcomed and he was admired and there was progress being made. Alianza para el Progreso. Okay. Just on a personal level, I'm a critical care registered nurse. And I used to, one of my jobs was I was the administrative person on call at night at Thomason. I didn't realize the term, but we used to get what we call floaters. We get people in who drowned in the river and we tried to identify them. Sometimes they were unimaginably deteriorated. But it was so sad because they often didn't have identification and things like this. Personally, I've had wonderful experience with police immigration. I've worked with immigration agents in many different ways. But also on a personal level, I am directly responsible for a dream of wind in this country. I've also had, if you can look on my Facebook, about 2 months ago, I brought a Honduran mother and her son who ran away from the Annunciation house into my house. I brought them to McDonald's, so it's the first time they'd ever been inside one. Just to give you an idea, though, the boy was 13 years old and he had a baby back in Honduras with a 22-year-old woman. Her mother left a couple of children. She didn't have a husband. Neither of them could speak English. They couldn't even write down my phone number. So you can see that, and the most important thing is, they told me these horrible stories about how they were treated. And I didn't believe them, to be honest with you. I thought they were exaggerating, but they were, and I don't mean this pejoratively, they were too dumb to lie. They were telling the truth. And I thought, I just don't believe it, because I've never encountered behavior like they describe. But anyway, if you can do something about us, and also about these migrants, and again, maybe you can get a volunteer group of nurses, doctors, nurse practitioners to work with these people in these settlements.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much. And so we passed the Dreamer TPS Act out of the House. It is one of those bills that's piled sky high at the door of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. There is almost universal support for Dreamers. It polls very well in our country. Most Americans want to see Dreamers receive protections and on a path to citizenship. And even so, we can't get it done in the Senate. We did it in the House. We'll keep trying. Okay, 3 more. Excellent. Thank you.
Edmundo Munoz, William Hart, and Cassidy Brown.
Why don't you say it? Good morning.
And I just wanted to say it's really unfortunate what's going on. I think there was 7 dead in the Rio Grande over the past week or so. It's heart-wrenching. I believe since this has been an issue for a while. And since November, the community has been shouldering
They are not at capacity. I guess they're like, and also, you're not here for politics, but we Mr. Work did in Juarez over the weekend, got a bunch of people riled up to come to the border. That's a distraction. All this heroin is getting into my neighborhood. I keep saying it. This needs to stop. And it needs to stop. And we demand, I demand, an apology from a House of Protest. She's going on CNN demonizing our agents. They're frustrated when we're at days off being sick themselves. That's all I really gotta say. I hate politics. There's something really wrong. For me to get out of bed and come do this kind of stuff. I never get involved. There's a problem. It's a very I'm Castellino. There's people getting out. There's more heroin getting in. It's killing kids. Killing kids.
I had 3 questions, but you already answered one. So, the other one, there's been a lot of very bad publicity. There's been a lot of very, very bad publicity about all kinds of people in all kinds of situations. And our people are getting the hit for this. And basically, the reason that our people are getting the hits in the news is ignorance. Now, you know, and we all know, what coyotes are. These are 2-legged animals. They put people in an inhospitable desert with inadequate water, little or no food, no protective gear. And when our people find them, they do what they can, but they can't save them all. Are they responsible? No. The coyotes are actually responsible. And most of your colleagues don't know the difference between a coyote and a coyote. So my question to you is, what are you doing to educate your colleagues? They can't be expected to respond when they don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. So that is that's been part of my mission since coming into Congress in January, is really educating members of Congress about what's really happening here, the consequences of certain policy decisions, and the way that we can do things better. When we turn people away at our ports of entry, we are helping the coyotes. When we block asylum seekers from having legal access through the normal avenues, we help the coyotes. So I do believe that part of the Trump administration's policy to limit access at ports of entry, even after the administration has said, if you want to do it right, go to the ports. Well, there is a long line of people waiting to come in at the ports. There's a self-metering system. It's a metering system where migrants are waiting on the other side of the ports, waiting for their shot to apply for asylum. When they get desperate, they end up going between ports, and that's where it is really dangerous, especially in the summer when there's water in the canals and in the river. And so all of this, I will tell you, one of the things that I've talked to one of the members that I'm working with on the Immigration Subcommittee of the House Judiciary Committee is about work that we can and should be doing in Central America to have in-country processing. Also, to provide education to migrants about how treacherous the journey is. I mean, they need to understand what is going to happen to them. We have to have compassion and sympathy for them, and they need to know what lies ahead before they make that decision. And they may make that decision anyway, but we have to provide an alternative in country for processing as well. So there are a number of solutions that I've been working in my office. I've got the most amazing team of people here in El Paso and in DC who are helping us navigate and look through multiple avenues. But the number one thing that I think can create change is the work to continue to bring as many members of Congress. When they spend 2 days here, they see with their own eyes, they hear with their own ears they go back to Washington far more knowledgeable than what they were when they went. Yeah, oh, believe me, yeah, we talk about the criminal activity happening in Ciudad Juarez as well. Thank you. I'm going to try to get through everybody. We've got 5 more. I'll be more succinct.
Okay, Eric Willard, Samuel Cano, and Paul de la Peña.
Good morning.
Hello. My name is Ashley Duran, and about the all right. Torres is now the 25th immigrant to die in ICE custody under Trump's administration, and on May 29th, 2019, Human Alezes, a BuzzFeed news writer, wrote that more than 52,000 people have been detained by ICE, resulting in an apparent all-time high. And during former President Barack Obama's presidential reign, the number of people detained by ICE stayed under 15,000, and the amount of people deported stayed under 5,000. What's your opinion on these statistics and how these numbers have immensely increased? And in your professional opinion, how do you think you can, and any possible future plans, can help these huge amount of people who are obviously suffering?
Absolutely. It's shocking and it's horrifying. The numbers of people arriving in El Paso have grown. That's a fact. And so it's overwhelmed a system that is antiquated and not equipped to deal with families, with children, with folks who need medical care and health care. And then the conditions that they're put in as a result are inhumane. I mean, I've seen extremely overcrowded cells. I've heard from folks in American custody that they haven't showered in weeks, that they have the same clothing that they arrived in, and many of these people have sponsors outside of detention waiting to help care for them. And as I mentioned before, sponsors shoulder 100% of the financial burden of paying for plane tickets or Greyhound bus rides to get them to where they're going, and then they sustain them. They sustain their family member. For me, it's not a question of appropriations because we've been appropriating the money. It's a question of will, and it's a question of values. What will our values be as a country as we address the most vulnerable arriving at our doorstep? And we have been, what I believe is violating those values that are inscribed in the Statue of Liberty. And I have said many times we are in a very dark place in our country right now. And this activity has, I think, broken the hearts of many of us who are trying to change the system. And I will tell you, hang on to your compassion, hang on to your humanity, because there are efforts all around to erode it, and we cannot allow our country to sink any lower.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. Representative, I have read the Mueller, or the redacted Mueller report, and I'm concerned that you're about to go into a Judiciary Committee hearing, and we need to be focused on some of the issues that have been hidden. And what I want to do is say, question 1, what efforts will you make to determine to what extent and who was targeted by the Russian hacking attack in the Republican side? I want to direct your attention to page 41, volume 1, in footnote 140, where Mueller stated, additionally, DC leaks released documents relating to the redact signing, emails belonging to redacted identity, and emails from 2015 relating to Republican Party employees under the portfolio name the United States Republican Party. The United States Republican Party portfolio contained approximately 300 emails from a variety of GOP members, PACs, campaigns, state parties, and businesses dated between May and October 2015. According to open source reporting, these victims shared the same Tennessee-based web hosting company, Smart Tech Corporation. There was actually an article in Spoken Gun back in 2016 on that. I think it's critical that we understand who else was hacked and why, and is it possible that the Republicans who are enabling Trump, who I agree with Governor Greg Inslee, is the greatest single threat to America today. Investigation into who got hacked. Number two, will you seek answers from Mueller regarding the deficiencies in the redacted Mueller report? Number one, there is no testimony from President Trump whatsoever. And two, a clarification in the redacted report who destroyed evidence, who kept it from being disclosed. And I direct your attention to the president didn't answer the questions, but instead repeatedly said, I have no recollection, or I have no independent recollection, or at this time, I do not remember, or I do not recall being aware, or I have no recollection of being told, or I do not remember the day on which, and it kept on going. And the last question he said, I have no recollection of the details of what, when, or from what source I first learned about the change to the platform amendment regarding arming Ukraine. But I generally recall learning of the issue as a part of the media representing. I do not recall being involved in changing the language. Representative Escobars, you sit on the judiciary. This is critical. We need to put an end to this crap. I don't know what's this, but
And I will tell you, Mr. Willard, not only was there, I don't recollect, but when Mr. Mueller and his team, the special counsel team, followed up after they got more information, the president refused to answer follow-up questions, specifically about the Trump plans in Moscow. And you have laid out a lot of what concerns many of us on judiciary. I have been going to the DOJ. I've been flying in early on fly-in days, sometimes going the day before, because the DOJ will not, on members of House Judiciary, they're only allowing us to see certain aspects of the unredacted version. We're only seeing certain aspects of the underlying evidence. We have not been allowed the grand jury information. And Mr. Mueller looked at a very narrow set of criminal activity. The report lays out a whole lot of other criminal activity. We know there are other investigations. I'm very concerned that AG Barr is in charge of those investigations. I do not, and I can't go into detail, but I share your concerns. We are working together as a committee we get 5 minutes to ask questions and to have them answer, our witness to answer the questions. We are working hard to be as collaborative as a committee as possible so that we can be as effective as we can.
So there's the Green Texas Act, which is a Green New Deal basically, but for Texas. And there's also the Healthy Texas Act, similar to Medicare for All. I was wondering if you were aware of these state initiatives, and if so, do your stances on those topics align with those ideas?
This is the first I hear about the state version, so I have to look at them to see how much they align with my legislative values. We're happy to get back to you once I take a look at them. Thank you. Good morning.
Our last two sign-ups are Amy Ramsport and Kay Moss.
Congresswoman,
good morning.
Muchísimas gracias.
Igualmente.
Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. You are a true heroine in our community. From my 6-year-old, we look at women like you in Congress. We look at our U.S. women's soccer, who are doing so well. We look at the greatness of America. And because you were sent there to defend this document, thank you for passing these out, because this is not a red issue or a blue issue. It's a U.S. Constitution, which we all hold very, very dear. Thank you for that. I had two questions for you. One, is your office working? There's a national movement right now in terms of the debt crisis in America. I have a couple of degrees working on a third, and I know that there's millions of other Americans here in our community. Part of the crisis in America is education, but we're not helping our students once they get out. with that debt. I was wondering if your office is working on that issue for debt reduction across the United States. And secondly, is your office working on both short and long-term policies that address the socio-cultural dimensions that address the U.S. border and here in your district?
So yes, we are looking at student debt. It is, I think, at crisis levels. I think it's part of why young people are struggling to make ends meet once they get out of college. I think about my own kids and what they're going to have to face is they want to go to law school or graduate school, and the accumulation of more and more debt. You know, I look at so much of our legislative work through the context of having a mom who raised us on middle-class income, and we were able to do that, but in the same situation, can't do it today. I think about the context of my children. What are they inheriting? And the people around me who you know, community that I adore. And so, yes, that is a priority for us. We will have to get back to you on where we are in terms of legislation. And then the second question was about the
social-cultural dimensions that affect the border. This would direct and inform Congress, legislators up and down the border, whether it's a governor, as you were, our county judge. But the social cultural dimensions, many of which have been addressed today, need to be informed so we can let Congress know, hey, this is what's happening, and we live on the border, and this is what impacts our community. So those social cultural policies, I think, would really help inform Congress and the sitting president.
I agree very much. Thank you so much, Paul.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for squeezing us all in. I wanted to thank you really quick for two things. First of all, for your accessibility. The past few weeks I've been trying to contact all of my congressional representatives, and your office is the only one that consistently answers the phone with a real person, and I really appreciate that. Second of all,
I love your real people. We have very real people.
And second of all, thank you for co-sponsoring HR 2615, the UN's, it's a long name, U.S. Northern Triangle Enhanced Engagement Act. This is something that came up in the debates a few days ago. I believe Secretary Castro was the first one to mention it, that our borders, we can't just deal with the situation that happens to the border, we need to deal with the situation from where these people come from. And so many of them are coming from areas that are unstable, that are violent, that suffer poverty. And that act that you co-sponsored is going to help deal with that by engaging more with Mexico and the Northern Triangle. And I wanted to thank you for that, but also ask how you plan to support U.S. aid in the future and support acts of that nature.
Thank you so much. And you know, for me, it's hard for me to believe that we have to pass legislation to do this, because this is the kind of this is what should be coming from leadership at the highest levels of our government. Congress should not have to pass a bill to say, let's destabilize the Northern Triangle. I mean, let's stabilize the Northern Triangle so that we can make sure more people are able to stay home. Congress should not be saying, let's work with our partners. That we have to write a bill that says that. Let's work with the partners in this hemisphere. But we had to do it. And as I've said before, unless we do that, this will be our new normal. This will be our new normal. So that bill was critical to me. Thank you so much. And then your follow-up question was, what are we doing to ensure more aid?
Exactly. Because I believe currently U.S. aid is less than 1% of the
Yes.
federal budget. And what would you have any plans in the future to either further support that or to increase the aid that we get done?
Yes, we definitely plan to increase the aid. But it's also, it has to come with accountability, right? It has to come with engaging with the leaders of those countries. And that aid also needs to have the same guardrails that we are asking for in some of our other bills, so that money cannot be diverted. The challenge for us is if you have a president that says, I'm not going to send it. And that's what has happened. So, and this is why I said to someone earlier, I've never been so frustrated in my life. It is very, very difficult to come forward with solution after solution after solution, only to see it stymied time and time again. But that doesn't mean we're going to stop doing our job, and it doesn't mean we're going to stop trying. We are going to continue. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing very well.
We've met before. My name is Ray Baca. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm a true minority. Hispanic Republican in El Paso County.
Welcome. Welcome.
Well, I know that you recognize that we're only 30% of the population here historically, but you represent all of us, and I want my point of view to be put on the table as well as anybody. I have two questions, not really questions, but a inquiry. And I was glad to hear you say you were not for open borders, because so many of your colleagues are kind of fuzzy on that subject, and one wonders. But in regard to the current crisis that we're in now, why has Congress not acted to modify the asylum laws and slow the tide of people coming here? It seems like a few months ago, when this was predicted, it was called a manufactured crisis, and lo and behold, here it is. But most of these people do not qualify for asylum. Their economic issues is not a legitimate asylum request. So why has Congress not done something to say, people, don't come, you're not going to qualify? And then my second point is on the issue of women's reproductive rights. And I respect a woman's right to choose to a certain point. Can you really say a woman should have a right to abort a fetus the day before birth, as so many laws are now being passed? I think that's criminal.
So let me take the second one first. That does not happen, and if a doctor determines that is required, which does not happen, I have more faith in a physician than I do in the people in Washington, D.C. making laws From my perspective, I think that I trust women and I trust physicians to make the right decision together. The first question, so that's the second question. The first question, let me tell you why many of us have been concerned about how this has become a crisis. This is absolutely a tremendous challenge. It is not a challenge that should have ended up this way. Separating families, separating children from their parents, for example, when the courts ordered that those families be reunified, because they were separated, the government had to spend resources and time in order to try to track families down, resources and time that could have been used by law enforcement agents on other things. That policy, abhorrent and I believe evil, should never have happened. You should never take a child away from a parent, especially not to enforce immigration law. And I have heard many times that migrants are arriving in the United States because they know of loopholes. They don't know very much about asylum laws. The vast majority of families that I have engaged with are running for their lives or running from poverty. You are correct. Many of them will not qualify for asylum, those who are running from poverty. So you're right about that. In my view, that does not mean that we lock them out of a system where they attempt to apply for asylum. Part of what I've heard from lawyers is that when they have a lawyer who's able to sit down with them and talk about what's happening, many of them ultimately end up having legitimate asylum claims. But because they don't have access to a lawyer, the first thing they might say is, I'm not able to grow any food on my property anymore, and it's a choice between starvation and running to a new country. I believe in due process. I believe people should have access to due process. I've laid out some solutions and ideas here. Ultimately, the stark reality for us is, as long as Senator Mitch McConnell chooses to not allow debates, and which are healthy, it's so important to have these conversations. It's so important to achieve compromise. But if we're prohibited from doing that, we're going to have the status quo as long as that one person is in charge. Thank you, sir. Good morning.
I've always taught my students that what you mentioned just about the value of a person is more important than his success. Next, I want to say efficiency is doing things right. Effectiveness is doing the right thing. You can give without loving. but we cannot laugh without eating. Good leadership is motivating and mobilizing others to accomplish a task or to think in ways that are for the benefit of all concerned. Great leaders, as we have here today, are never satisfied with current levels of performance. They are relentlessly driven by possibilities and potential achievements.
Okay, that was our last question. I want to thank you all so much for spending your morning with us. I'm looking forward to more of our cafecitos. Please let me know if there's a place you'd like me to visit with your neighbors, with constituents around you. And I want to thank you once again also for the incredible privilege that you have given me to serve this beautiful community in the U.S. Congress. Thank you all very much.
I'm going to try to go in there. I want to go well, the reason I know there's more going on. I know they have real blinks. I know they have real blinks. So those pictures, I know Google and search for pictures. Okay. You find out I found a lot of pictures of barns and a lot of. We also have security services that don't allow cameras and stuff like that. They say you can that. Right now it's getting but that facility good for you. To change it back to adult. Yeah, good for you. And now by filming inside, you lay the layout of that thing down. That's why we don't allow that stuff inside of.
Have you worked?
Well, yeah.
Actually, I know quite a bit about it. I know that I'm putting it before.
But as far as
it's the same protocol. We use the same security protocol. I keep trying to get it, be like going over it. I don't like to share that information because they don't share it.
if I drop you a line?
Yeah, if you want to, that's fine. If you follow
yeah.
That'll put it. I'm trying to get it. And if I can, I want to do a living report on good, because I want to hear every report. I know organizations do good. They just got this $4.6 billion. They've got us now. They got it.
I mean, I don't think it's funny.
They don't. It's not.
Toothbrushes.
There's screws and stuff in here. Here's the thing.
It's not getting to the kids.
It's not getting to the public. I was down in the back when we created how's it going? All right, everybody. Oh, yeah. All right, guys, there's the Escobar Town Hall meeting for July. She softened up a little bit on the Border Patrol there, didn't she? She didn't say she wasn't as critical as she was yesterday, which is good. She's realizing that people are concerned about her negative comments about that, which a good politician will correct themselves, and she did good on that. So I didn't beat her up too hard like I wanted to. If she wasn't going to say anything positive at the beginning, then I would have gone after her a little bit more. I would have gone after her, period. But she didn't answer my question. She didn't tell me anything good in there. She didn't mention anything that we've heard that was good. That, like the kids are being cared for, etc., etc. I didn't hear her say anything like that. She just said they had these metal blankets still, which is not true. I have a friend in that particular facility that told me otherwise. So unfortunately, we're getting still only one side of the story. And I am actually going to try to get in that facility in 2 weeks, 2.5 or 3 weeks. I don't know. It might be too late. They might have everything they need by that point. But I will bring a honest, open report. If I see good, if I see bad, I'm going to report it. But let's see how that goes. I hope I can get in there. I should hopefully have my press pass by then.
Oh, you have to have a press pass?
So we'll see. We'll see what I can do there. But as far as everything else goes, that's this month's town hall meeting is over with, and we heard what we heard. So now we're just gonna have to wait to rely on the media to tell us what the deal is. And like I said, I'm gonna reach out to some other friends that I currently know here in El Paso that are in the Border Patrol and have very strong connections to that facility to see if I cannot get us some more information because I think we deserve it. But nonetheless, you heard Ms. Escobar's position on a bunch of different topics today. And, well, she is a Democrat, but I stressed today the importance for the Republican Party in this town, and I stress it over and over and over. I'm not a Republican. I am an independent, but I am an independent that wants equal representation in this city for a change after being here for 40 years and only seeing Democrats run this place. I want the Republican Party to do something. And they're not doing anything. They are ineffective, and they are silent. The people who are trying to improve the situation are not being assisted by this local
Thank you for coming out.
GOP. And that needs to change. If that doesn't change, nothing is going to change here in this city. And if the people that are at the top of the GOP locally are not going to do their job, if they're not going to do their jobs, if they're not going to represent this people that they've been elected, actually from the Republicans have put those people in those places, in their chair, on that board in the GOP here locally. If they're not going to do their job, then they need to get out of the way. If they're too afraid to offend Democrats in this city, then they need to get out of the way. If they're afraid to represent what Republicans and conservatives are all about, then they need to get out of the way. It's that simple. And I know this party very well. I know the leaders of this party in El Paso very well. And I question some of their motives. So if that doesn't change, like I said, we're never going to have any type of opportunity to change here in this city. So that being that, I hope you enjoyed watching Veronica, and please be sure to share this video with everybody so that way we can get the word out what's happening here on the border where we're still dealing with the immigration crisis. And I appreciate you guys watching Sun City live streams. Please share, and I look forward to seeing you guys. If nothing goes down here in this city before Thursday, who knows, because this city's always got something happening nowadays. I will be seeing you on 4th of July. That's yours truly, my birthday also. So I'm going to be celebrating with the country like I always do, with my red, white, and blue. And I will be at the 4th of July parade. I'm not too sure which one. And there's going to be a fireworks party over at Biggs Field military base here in El Paso. That's going to be from 4 o'clock till fireworks start at 9 o'clock. So that should be an interesting, fun event. But until then, guys, this has been Carnavale from Sun City Live Streams, and I am signing off. And thank you guys for watching. Please share.